This is me once again poking the hornet's nest with this video. Here we go. Hello Star Wars fans, John of Video Games and the World here, and today we're going to talk about Andor versus Geeks and Gamers. Now, the TV show Andor had just premiered on Disney Plus with the first 3 episodes. The show is a prequel to the 2016 movie Rogue One, which I really enjoyed, and it stars Mexican actor Diego Luna as Cassian Andor. The show is about the journey of Cassian Andor, who was a thief before becoming a spy for the Rebel Alliance. And to me, he's like a rehash of Kyle Katarn, another awesome character in the pre-Disney era. I have not seen the show yet due to responsibilities I have to take care of, but hopefully I can see the 3 episodes this weekend. So far, criticism is favorable from critics and fans alike. Real fans, of course. But unfortunately, of course, there are those whose criticism is negative. Now, if you don't like the show for certain legitimate reasons such as a story or character development, okay. If you love the show for legitimate reasons as well, okay. We all happy. But if the dislike is based on saying that the show is woke and SJW propaganda, then that, my friends, is a low level of absolute pettiness and childishness. People who dislike something because they think it's woke and promotes identity politics are just as bad as those who say that this movie, show, or video game is problematic or promotes toxic masculinity, you know. Right now, I'm talking about one known critic who takes that path of saying how this show promotes identity politics. I'm talking about Geeks and Gamers. To Jeremy, everything he doesn't like is because it's woke and identity politics. It's very obvious that he was going to say that about the show. This guy is so fucking negative that whenever something new, whether it's Star Wars or not, he has to stoop to such pettiness. I was hoping that Andor, like Obi-Wan Kenobi before, it would unite fans, but unfortunately, the toxic fans have to be so negative and stoop to that level of pettiness and stupidity. According to an article, Fiona Shaw, one of the stars of the show, and also well known for her role as Petunia Dursley in the Harry Potter movie series, described that the show is a great and scurrilous take on the Trumpian world. Ms. Shaw also stated that our world is exploding in different places right now, people's rights are disappearing, and Andor reflects that. In the show, the Empire is taking over, and it feels like the same thing is happening in reality too. I was impressed by Tony's social realist intentions, Shaw continues. He's created a whole new morality. It's very deep and humane. There is grief, mourning, hope, fear. It's not just primary colors here. Geeks and Gamers, of course, reacted like, oh, it's about Donald Trump, and they say all white people are bad. That's why the show is woke and SJW propaganda. Jesus Christ, Jeremy. You're just as bad as the SJW should cry all the time on how anything they don't like is problematic or promote toxic masculinity and want it changed, not for the sake of audiences, but because their fragile feelings were hurt. Now, I've said this in a video I made months ago, that Star Wars was always political. Star Wars is a reflection of the real world, and it was inspired by the Vietnam War and World War II. Star Wars was always political if you think about it. I also said it in my video of when Simon Pegg was talking about toxicity in the Star Wars fandom. If you look at the prequels, Clone Wars and Rebels, the Trade Federation is fascistic and authoritarian. In the original trilogy and pre-Disney era stories like The Force Unleashed 1 and 2, Rogue Squadron, and Shadows of the Empire, the Galactic Empire is fascist and authoritarian. In the sequel trilogy, the First Order was fascist and authoritarian. The planets that fought against the Separatists, the Rebel Alliance, and the Resistance were anti-fascist and anti-authoritarian. And from what I heard, they said that the creators of Andor don't believe in escapism. Dios mío, idiotas. We've been having that for as far long as I'm concerned. There are escapisms not just in Star Wars, but also in video games and literature. The prequels not only touch on the authoritarianism of the Separatists, but the story in Tatooine touch on slavery, and slavery existed since the dawn of mankind. Every empire before the advent of European colonization had slaves. The Romans, the Egyptians, the Spartans, the Persians, the African Moors had slaves. Hell, video games have touched on different subjects as well, such as classicism and religious authoritarianism in Final Fantasy Tactics. Final Fantasy X was anti-religious authoritarianism. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, great games by the way, touch on topics such as slavery, racism, and bigotry. In the Injustice video games, Superman's regime is fascist, and Batman's insurgency is anti-fascist. Final Fantasy VII was about fighting against a tyrannical corporation's grip on the world and save the planet from environmental destruction and an even deadlier enemy. Life is Strange touched on bullying, sexism, abuse, loss of a loved one, and a lot of other things. BJ Blazkowicz of the Wolfenstein series fought the Nazis, and he would totally be fighting against the alt-right. The same can be same of characters in Call of Duty games that took place during World War II. They would totally be fighting against the alt-right. Now, what else did Jeremy say? Well, as a Latino myself of Dominican parents, when I saw this clip, this totally pissed me off and made me fume. He explained why Diego Luna doesn't belong in the Star Wars TV show Andor. He said that they're pushing identity politics and that the only reason Diego Luna is the lead character of this series is because they're trying to push diversity bullshit. It's so dumb. No, asswipe! Diego Luna is the lead character because the show is about a character he played in Rogue One, and he did a damn good job at it. And by the way, you defended the assholes who went after Moses Ingram and called her a diversity hire in Obi-Wan Kenobi. What the flying fuck, Jeremy? Is everything identity politics to you? You're just as bad as the SJW since they follow Sarkeesian's twisted ideology on how everything is sexist, racist, and homophobic. To you, and various anti-SJWs like Brian Kinnell, Josiah Rises, Doomcock, Mecha 42, and Erotic, everything is woke, identity politics, and SJW propaganda. I may not have so many subs like you do, but I say what I have to say. It's actually kind of funny how you say that a brand new character should be created instead of race swapping originally established ones. You get pissed when there is a brand new non-white character. Such hypocrisy. For the record, I'm not very fond of gender and race swapping characters because I believe that brand new ones need to be created, and shoehorning originally established characters is just lazy and unoriginal. But at the same time, if it's alternate universe and as long as they're well written with good stories, okay. But I'm not gonna make hundreds of fucking videos and become some internet laughingstock. My rants are against things like what Geeks and Gamers and anti-SJW extremists point out identity politics, where there is none, SJWs pointing out problematic and toxic masculinity where there is none, politicians, pseudo-activists, and the media attacking video games, etc. But constantly ranting about pointing out stuff where there are none over and over again is just childish, petty, and stupid. To Geeks and Gamers, this is how it is. Two women kiss, identity politics. Two men kiss, identity politics. A black, Latino, or Asian lead, identity politics. A female lead, identity politics. LGBTQ characters included, identity politics. Dr. Afra is a lesbian, identity politics. Jesus Christ. Since The Last Jedi, he's been obsessively making a bunch of videos saying the same shit over and over again, how The Last Jedi is SJW, anti-male, anti-white, and how Rian Johnson butchered the franchise. For 5 fucking years, he's been doing this shit. I'm very regretful for ever having been subbed to this guy. Boy, do I poke the hornet's nest with my bluntness, don't I? My question is, to wrap this up, why the fuck can the Star Wars fandom be less toxic like the fandoms of Star Trek, Stranger Things, and Cobra Kai? If you guys have anything to say, then comment, subscribe, hit that like button, hit that bell button, and support me on Patreon. I'm John of Video Games in the World. Have a good one.